when it did work, you felt as if you ran the city. Why did I end up not caring about really anybody's life, not caring about my life? And I think there was a series of events and a series of people, things that played out that just not reality. You're just addicted to creating fear. What that does to make you feel like that when you can put someone into their place.
Willy Johnson. He's now helping men walk out of prison and into purpose. He built a business, mentors others, and leads Montana Reentry, a movement giving second chances to those who thought they'd never get one.
But what if I told you this same man once believed violence was the only way to be seen? This is Willy Johnson's story, a story you won't believe until you hear it from him.
So when you were put into maximum security, what did that first night feel like?
It was a rash of emotions. It was a rash of anger and energy that came through that evening when I did that. Like it was someone else's story was being told to me.
Did you still believe the lie that you were the victim?
I think we all have a self-defense mechanism. Giving the guys some exposure to this why they do what they do, so then they have the choice to make the next right decision. So if I don't want to be in prison for the rest of my life, and I don't want to do this monster mentality ever again, what are my options? They cut the cord. They said, good luck, prefer if you not come back this way. If I can get some wires to touch for someone not hurt somebody, absolutely, that's worth it.
Willy, when you talk about violence being the way to be seen when you were a kid, most people find it hard to imagine how that looks like. Can you walk us through, when you were 15 years old, how that looked like?
Well, I think part of adopting a violent attitude is where you grow up, who you grow up with. So some of those scenarios played out just in my family. My family in general seemed to take a no disrespect, no nonsense viewpoint. So if someone at a stoplight gave you a honk of the horn, for example, one of the two of my parents may have got out of the vehicle. So you learn, that's okay. So you learn kind of those behaviors. So even to the point where when you're young enough and you start to engage in some of that behavior, you question, is this even right? But it's just what you know. It's the way that you solve problems. Right. You try to put fear into people so they may just leave you alone.
Yeah.
Could just be that. So yeah, when you walk, as you get older though, as you grow up, I gravitated towards an older group of individuals who are already doing that same stuff. They come from the same lifestyle, the same brokenness of homes, and violence was in their history.
Gotcha.
So it was just natural, just really natural, just act naturally.
Was there ever a moment you realized you actually like being feared?
Every time that it worked, I loved it. There was many times that it didn't work.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you try to instill fear for whatever reason to whoever it was, and it didn't work. So then you just put your tail between your leg and move on. But when it did work, you felt as if you ran the city, even though it was nothing like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Did you feel invisible without it? I mean...
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't have had a place to settle at home with. That was kind of my character.
Right.
If you were to be in character, that would be my character. Yeah. It would just be not going to be bullied around. I'm going to be standing up for myself. And but without that scenario, without putting that hat on, for lack of a better word, you would just go to school. You would be, I wasn't athletic, so I really didn't fit into any of that.
Okay.
I wasn't very smart. I had ADD for sure, even though we didn't diagnose that back in the 90s, right? It's just sit the heck down, man. So yeah, it was real difficult. And the home life didn't foster education as a priority.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what I would have been just a regular old Joe Schmo loser dude, like doing my homework, getting good grades, hanging out with good buddies.
Right.
Sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Okay, so you were just 15 and you took 2 lives. Tell me what happened in your mind in a moment like that.
Well, I think the story to tell is up to that point. What took me to get there.
What took you to get there?
Why did I end up not caring about really anybody's life?
Right.
Not caring about my life.
Right.
Yeah. What took me to get there? And I think there was a series of events and a series of people,
Okay.
a series of things that played out that just not reality. There was movies in the 90s of gang members and living the life of thugs and just running the streets and doing what they wanted, right? You can have all the girlfriends and all the drugs and you can steal stuff and get away with it. So that was playing through my mind while I was developing who I wanted to be as an adult, which was just a notoriously feared gang member, whatever it was.
Right.
So leading up to that, I got involved with some gang activity. Really just trying to be someone I wasn't. Trying to fit in, trying to learn that lifestyle. And it worked. It worked well for a while. Ran the streets with those guys. Learned a little bit more about violence and what it took to own
Right.
the streets.
Yeah.
So going through that lifestyle and then really just hanging out with friends of violent nature. We would run around and we would just create violence. Someone like yourself would look at you wrong.
Yeah.
They'd be like, well, I think that guy needs some action.
Right.
Right? I mean, he just looked at us, he got some beef with somebody, so let's go teach him a lesson.
Yeah. And
so
you just kind of, that gave you that excitement and like being able to engage and do that just kind of helped you feel fulfilled.
Yeah. So what you're talking about and you're asking about is why do people engage in those behaviors, right? And the real answer is to cover up what you had at home, to cover up reality, right? So you didn't want to be normal. You didn't want to act normal. You didn't want to go home and do homework, and you didn't want to play by the rules.
Right.
So in order to cover that stuff up, you get with people who will make you feel better, right? Your friends, your homies, that kind of stuff. So that's why you do that. And unlike drugs, not unlike drugs, it's an addiction, right? You're just addicted to creating fear and what that does to make you feel like that when you can put someone into their place. Like you've created a very traumatic scenario for somebody, even if it's just a simple fist fight.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to go around stabbing everybody and shooting them. You create that environment just by making them less than you and letting people watch it. Yeah. Right. So that's the addiction portion of violence. Yeah.
So when you were put into maximum security, what did that first night feel like?
Oh man, that was a crash. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. I can't even tap into that. That was it was very dark and non-reality.
Were you
First off, it was non-reality.
Like afraid, or were you just
very scared? Yeah,
okay.
Very scared. First though, rewind, like what got me to that point of getting there. Prison and death was not, it was accepted. That was the goal. Like, yeah, we're probably going to die here at some point, right? And not really knowing the why to it, or did it really matter?
Do you want to give me a story to why you believe that was the case within the place that you lived?
Yeah, I
Why do you
think it was a cultural
it's
thing.
normal. Why do you think it was normalized?
Yeah.
Was it more
I think-
frequently happening, or
Well, you look back and you don't know what you don't know when you're living in it, right?
Right.
So looking back, I see the scenario that we were creating, and there was just a lot of opposing gang members. There was a lot of opposing just enemies, just people who would challenge you. So you just know that, yeah, death was a thing that happened where we were. It wasn't happening every week and all my friends were dying and all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't not common. So when that did occur, you thought, that's just probably your ending, right?
right?
At some point, someone's going to pull your card. I mean, we had guns pulled on us, people shot at us.
Right.
So you think at some point, it's just your card. It's just the way it goes.
Right.
When you play this game, your card will be pulled.
You were pretty much in an environment that felt normalized with the activities that you were doing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Not a whole lot like growing up in a drug addiction family.
Right.
Like when you start getting drugs from your folks when you're 10, 11, 12, that becomes normal, right? You're like, what's the difference? What's the deal? Why not?
Yeah.
Right. Or sexually molested kid.
Right.
Oh, it's nothing really wrong with that. Right? Because, the people I love has done that to me. It's the same scenario, Philip. Yep.
Okay.
So, yeah, first night after incarceration, no idea what had really happened, just to be quite frank with you.
You just kind of gradually come into the realization of what you've gotten yourself into?
No, not even that.
Okay.
Not even that. So far out of reality that I'm sitting in a confinement cell, and the last thing I had heard was one of the detectives asked if I knew who I had killed.
Huh.
And that was the first time that I had heard that, and I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't register.
Right.
I did not, nor did I care if I killed anybody. Right. But it wasn't, I am going to go kill so-and-so.
Right.
It was a rash of emotions. It was a rash of anger and energy that came through that evening when I did that. Right. So didn't care. I didn't care when he told me that. It was like, that's crazy. Like it was someone else's story was being told to me.
Gotcha.
Like that had happened. So really, I think the psychological stuff just started upon that confinement mode. We were in confinement. I was in confinement for probably 6 months. Okay. While we're waiting for a whole bunch of paperwork and trial stuff and the adult court to kick in and that kind of stuff. So gotcha. There was a lot of telling lies to yourself, a lot of not reality, a lot of, well, I'm probably going to get out here in a couple of months and get back to the street.
Right. And go back to your normal life.
Get back to normal life, figure out what's going on. All of that stuff. Just non-reality.
Right.
It's like you lived in a dream and someone else told you the story that you were in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just wasn't real.
Yeah. Right. That's a very interesting take on it.
Yeah.
Did you still believe the lie that you were the victim in all those scenarios?
Yeah, so
being in the prison, like, why am I in here? Though you've had that happened.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we all have a self-defense mechanism at some point that will kick in, that will justify, that will minimize, that will just put you into a position where you are not the aggressor.
Gotcha.
Even in an argument with your wife.
Right.
You'll be wait a minute, why am I being attacked here?
Yeah.
It's just self-preservation. Right. So, yes, my defense for our entire case that lasted about a year was a self-defense. It was, didn't have a choice. I got backed into the corner. Mm-hmm. Never mind all of the obvious facts that I'm riding around with numerous illegal firearms waiting for something to happen.
Right. Yeah.
Never mind that stuff. The fact was that I got baited into a scenario that some people didn't like me, and I didn't have a choice but to kill them.
Right.
That's essentially what was presented.
Yeah.
Right. And if they could have known my heart during all that, they'd have been like, let's get this kid away for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rightfully so. So to answer your question, because I think that's important.
Yeah.
Because I deal with a bunch of guys in prison right now who believe they're the victims. I know that sounds horrible, doesn't it? It's like, you got 10, 15 years to do here, and you're going to do this entire time believing that the system did you wrong.
Right.
Or you did nothing wrong, and it's broken, and you don't belong here.
Right.
So what a waste of time.
Yes.
What a waste of time. They own some of, I don't care if they own exactly what the criminal justice system or the jury or the judge actually pinned on them. Mm-hmm. The fact remains that they're there for a reason. And what is it that got them there? What behaviors got them there? What mindset got them there? Right. So we have got to unwind that clock, because that's where I was.
Yes.
And can you imagine if you never once had a fight with your wife and admitted that you were actually wrong, that you were always right? Can you imagine what would your relationship be like? It would be real crappy, wouldn't it? She'd probably be like, you know what? I'm done with this guy.
Right. Absolutely.
Except we're dealing with lives here. Except we're dealing with people's lives, people who lost their lives. We're dealing with families in the future. We're dealing with generational stuff. So in order for anybody to move past and move through what they did, they have to have some ownership, right? So it really, my ownership, my lies, all that stuff, my self-defense story really didn't come to fruition until maybe 3 or 4 years into my incarceration. And that was through therapy. That was all through therapy. So that was having people that loved on me, that cared about me, that came to me and said, hey, we're going to keep going forward like this and be the victim of this scenario. Where are you going to be in life? Right? So it wasn't, probably into that future, in that time frame of 3 or 4 years into it, therapeutically, we had groups. We did some of the stuff that we're doing now with adverse childhood experience stuff. Okay. We did some like Who's Your Family, and then we did some victim empathization stuff. And it was really my turn to start feeling something.
Right.
They wanted to. How do we get Willy to feel? Because everything was so shut down. Like, other than self-pity, other than self-loathing, how do we get him to feel anything other than anger? Right. How do we get him to see his victims as humans, as brothers and as family members, right? So that's where the lies kind of stop. When we start working on who you've made victims of and how important they are to their families and to their friends, okay, that whole scenario starts getting peeled back. And then at some point you have to tell the real story. You have to stop lying. You have to sit into the chair and you have to look someone across the eye and say, this was my heart during this scenario. Right. My heart said, it doesn't matter who's on the other side of this gun. It doesn't matter who's getting beat up. I have to be honest at some point. And this is where we go with some of our guys that we're trying to work with now, is we have to get them to that point. Otherwise, we just have a monster on the loose, right? That never did anything wrong. And we know that the argument with your wife, we know that we share those. Right. We share ownership within all of those parameters. So when I stopped lying, and remember, this was because I had people around me who cared enough to push me to be honest.
Okay.
When I stopped lying, when I stopped telling the story of self-defense, there was something that magically happened. There was almost a transformation.
Let me kind of stop you there and dive a little bit deeper. Yep. In terms of transformation. How's your program like in terms of how it's helping people come to that realization, the self-awareness of the lie that, you've been telling yourself, and realizing that, hey, the lie bulb just came up and you realized, this is not me. What am I doing this? And now you can actually understand what's happening and the transformation starts happening. Do you want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into that aspect of the transformation?
Yeah. So, why do you need a God? Why does anyone need a God? Why do we need a redeeming God? So the word of redemption is to bring back. It's not a new purchase, right? So I say that, and I come full circle with ownership. So once we can just stop lying, if we can stop lying, now we got some truth to process, right? So where does the truth leave you? If I could just take Philip's heart, throw it on the table, is there some dark stuff in there? Absolutely. Is there a lot of good stuff in there? Absolutely. There's a God that can take the dark stuff and turn it into the good stuff. So upon recognition that you're a liar and you live a lie, your next step is to do what? To find the right way, right?
Right.
What's the correct way? Where is this moral fortitude that anyone talks about?
Right.
Right. Well, that's the redemption that God created for you. So you and myself were created to be in relationship with God. Okay? So we understand that's a basic I mean, there's not many people that really can argue that intelligently. That is a fact. God created us for him to be in that relationship. So when you accept that, there's a transforming piece that happens. So what we do is we teach that God is a God who is redeeming you back to him.
Okay.
And that's a process. There's a lot of pain. The church in itself can cause a lot of pain. Your childhood can cause a lot of pain. You've caused a lot of pain. We want to look at the pain that you've caused so you can really understand that you need a redemptive God. You need to be back in this relationship that you were originally built for. That's the scriptures that we teach. That's what we look at in that relationship. So that's one method. That's a primary method in just my journey alone, is understanding who I am to God and what is my role in this relationship. Second method that we use is some of this adverse childhood experience stuff, early developmental trauma exposure. We just want you to know, we want our guys to understand where they come from. A lot of guys don't understand why they even do what they do. Why do I go out and keep shooting up and then hurting people? Why do I want to rob a bank in my soul? Why do I want to take the easy route? Why do I continue to beat women that I love? Why do I continue to hurt people? The answer really does lie within you. So once you get to the point where you're willing to take a look at the lie, really to expose your soul to the truth, then we can dive in with some of this early developmental trauma exposure. We can look at why you do what you do. Then if you know you do what you do,
Right.
now you can make a new decision, right?
Right.
So if you know that, Philip, you can only bench 205, but you would really like to bench 225,
All right.
right? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to live a lie that you can?
Yeah.
You're not going to live that lie, right? You're going to say, all right, this is what I can do.
Right.
Why can't I get past this?
Okay.
Right? It's your training method that's left you there.
Right.
Right? You have a developmental thing that stopped you there.
Gotcha.
So now you need to understand that so you can build around that.
Okay.
And now you can go bench 225.
Right.
But you
yeah.
need help with that.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we're doing. We're giving the guys some exposure to this why they do what they do. So then they have the choice to make the next right decision.
Okay.
They don't have to do that anymore.
So in your story, you made mention there was this old woman that walked into the prison with a Bible. I kind of really want you to dive down deep into that, if that was what caused your transformation.
Well, first off, she's going to be offended if she watches this, that I called her old. She was not.
Maybe she was not old.
She was old. She was old to a 20-year-old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
right.
she was not that old.
No, she
So,
wasn't.
yeah,
Yeah,
let's-
right.
let's-
But
let's
she was
clarify
definitely, yes, right.
Yeah.
After I started getting healthy, right? So mentally, I was getting, I was coming out of a really, really dark area of like suicidal. Like it was a very lonely place. I had accepted what I had done. I had turned my victims into humans. I had turned their families into humans, and I couldn't move out of that circle. So it was a really, really dark. And I didn't know what to do.
Right.
Yeah. Didn't really have the answers to that. So I did have a friend who would visit every once in a while. Not a friend from the past, a new friend who would visit, and the guy would just love on me. He would just be a friend.
Right.
Something was different about him. Didn't really know exactly what, but at the time anyway, not that he was not disclosing it. It was just something was different. Right. So what I later found out is that he was in the faith. He was a God-fearing individual who loved Jesus.
Yeah.
And he was just like, this is why I even come here. I just want to be your guys' friend. So number one example, right, of a guy showing me love and showing me almost a father figure. So he would do that, showed me that there's hope at the end of that tunnel.
Right.
After coming out of my coming through my darkest days, I had decided that it was a friend of me had decided that we are going to go into the Christian faith. We were going to be good Protestant Christians. That's what we were going to be. We're going to uncover the Bible for ourselves. But we really didn't know what we were doing. Really, because I mean, if you've ever read through the scriptures, it's kind of confusing sometimes.
Right.
It's one of the stories that we now know that entirely lead to Jesus. Like it's the whole Bible leads to this redemptive God of Jesus, and then you get to be bought back to him. So a few months into our commitment of like, we're following after this Jesus dude. Maybe we don't understand everything that we need to understand about this, but this is what we're going to do. So it was a choice. I like to think it was a choice. Maybe God's like, I don't know, you're going to do this.
Right.
That's fine. So this lady came through. So remember, we're in this. So we're on let's say it's Oregon Youth Authority has like a 1,000-person campus, let's say, yeah. And it's all offenses, drug offenses, sex offenses, everything.
Okay.
Well, they have a maximum security compound.
Okay.
For individuals who were like myself. So they put us into the maximum security. There was 25 of us who were all from the criminal class of killing people or trying to kill people or notorious gang members or whatever. So they just decided the best efforts to put us all together in this one facility, one space. We had our own. There was no general. We couldn't go with general population, so there was none of that activity. There, we had our own food facility.
Pretty much confined.
We were absolutely confined. We had our own school sections, our own college area. Everything was combined. We had our own yard, our own basketball. Everything was our own, because we could not function within the regular general population without acting a fool. Right. It's what we did.
So like you are in a prison within a prison.
You're in a prison within a prison. That's right.
Right.
Yeah. So that's fine. But you could work your way up through privileges and stuff like that. You could watch TV after, I don't know, a year or so if you didn't act as an idiot.
Right.
Nowadays you get TV in your own prison cells, man. It's legit.
Is it?
You get your own tablets and stuff. Yeah. All right. So yes, the lady came through. She asked administrations if she could come in and just help uncover God's word for like a group of kids. I say kids, we're up to 25 years old in this facility. So,
right. Okay.
So at any rate, she got welcomed in to do that. She came to our facility and she had made the offer. And Mark and myself were like, wow, this is crazy. We would like some help with this, you know, because we really don't know what we're doing.
Right.
So that happened, and she took us pretty much under our wing until we left the facility. So it was a few years that we got to study God's word with someone who actually understood on how to study it. Administration, somehow it was orchestrated to get her back to this area.
Gotcha.
For whatever reason. I mean, I think it was divine, obviously.
Faith.
Yeah, totally God sent her to that area for a time like that.
Right.
She had two individuals who were lost, who didn't understand the scriptures totally,
Right.
and who needed help. And far be it for me to say God can't send someone back there, right? There's a lot of red tape.
Were you just kind of like seeking any kind of help? Not necessarily someone coming with the scriptures, but it just kind of aligned with that?
Yeah, no, we weren't seeking any kind of help. We had made a decision to follow after
God's.
God. Yeah, Yahweh.
At what point in time did you make that decision when you were in prison?
Yeah, so I think that decision was made after the realization that I was a monster. Okay. Yeah, I think that call out to God happened after I had realized what I had actually done.
What was going through your head at that time? Were you kind of seeking what could help me?
So I think it was twofold. Okay. I think one was self-preservation. One was I don't want to spend the rest of my life in prison. You know, I've got this miraculous second chance. I'm gonna get out. You know, when you do the things that we had done in that facility as an adult, you don't normally get to be free until you're 40 or 50 years old, if you get to be free. Okay. So I knew that we had a second chance. So self-preservation was, I don't want to be incarcerated for the rest of my life. And the second major issue was, now that I had, I say I understood, but as I was understanding what it was like to be the individual that took another person's life, that in and of itself was enough to say and understand it, to raise the white flag and say, I need help. Like, I don't know where to go from here. Right?
Right.
So if I don't want to be in prison for the rest of my life, and I don't want to do this monster mentality ever again, what are my options?
Right.
Right. And we had heard and we had known that that following through with Jesus is a no payment scenario. There was nothing that I could do, and this is how I understood it then. I understood this. This is a crucial point.
Yes.
This is a crucial point in the Christian faith. There is nothing that I can do. I can't go live a really good life and make all of my stuff go away. I can't atone. I can't make right. I can't bring back. I can't make the family forgive. There's nothing I can do to be in this right relationship with God. Nothing I can do.
You had nothing to lose.
I had nothing to lose, but there was also nothing I could do. I couldn't earn it.
Right.
So I couldn't act better. I couldn't act good for the rest of my life and then be redeemed back to a God who made me for him. Correct. I couldn't do it. There was nothing I could do. So that, in other religions, we had lots of other friends who, I had an Islamic brother, I had native friends. A lot of other religions that we had looked into require good deeds. Right. Like you will do for the next, you're going to do so many good things and you're going to earn your way back into this right, whatever it is in that religion, right? So, but I kind of messed the bed on that one. Like I had done some very serious things.
would you say that the prison system encouraged you to seek out that, finding ways to be a better version of yourself?
Not where I was.
Okay.
I think the prison system allowed some very wise and therapeutic group settings to happen that were ran by some really wise people and our own peers. So that the extent of rehabilitation was in that parameter. So really what the prison system goal at that point was to get Willy to identify that he's a monster. If we can get him to identify that he's a monster, maybe he won't do this ever again. Right?
And that's what the prison system is set to do.
Well, at least that one was.
Right.
I think maybe a lot of prison systems today tend to just they just skirt that stuff. They just want to give you some topical treatments. So maybe you can help yourself not keep using drugs or help yourself not hurt people.
And just kind of reflect on what you've done and just kind of come up with that realization.
Yeah. But then they let you go.
Right.
And so if you could imagine, if I would have just taken the road that the system would have set up for me, I would have at some point I would have ended my own life. That's what I would have done. Because I come to full realization for what I had done. Right. And there was no real hope forward, right? So once you get from the lies, from the deceit into ownership, and then you own, now you got to figure out how to carry this backpack with you for the rest of your life.
Correct.
This is why people live under bridges. Right? This is why our veterans can't function after war.
Right.
You know, all they see now is the life that they had to do, that the lives that they took. Right. They can't realize that there's hope after this.
Right.
So that's what the God of the Bible offered me. He offered me hope that I can change your heart. You don't have to live like this. I'm going to bring you back to me that I created you for. And we're going to be a wholesome person. That's exactly that transformation that happened. That's what I was looking for. I couldn't earn anything else. Like, right. Yeah, you earned a good spot on death row is what I earned.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
My best actions and my best intentions landed me there. Right. So I didn't know.
Now, we kind of want to take a look at the pre-release, getting out of prison. How did you integrate into society? How did you find yourself?
I had 2 years of pretty much learning to study God's word. So I had 2 years before I got out to get rooted into the way of God. And I believe that during that 2 years, he started changing my heart. He started the characteristics that he needed me to have. He started gifting me those. He's like, all right, I'm going to put some empathy in you. And now I'm going to put some understanding in you. Those couple years were full of that stuff. At that point, we were able to orchestrate some of these group settings that I had been through. The doctors wanted some peer group running. So we started doing that stuff.
Right.
So I say that to say, when I got released, they cut the cord. They said, good luck. We'd prefer if you not come back this way. So God had molded me and my character for 2 years before I got out. So I had all these characters going on inside of me, the characteristics that God wanted me to be. So now, if you have a character that God's put in you and gifted you,
right,
what can't you do?
Right? Yeah.
It was endless. The possibilities were endless. So on re-entry, one of the first things I did was I went and looked for a job.
Okay.
Got a job.
Where did you get your first job?
Well, I got a job at a lumber yard.
Okay.
Yeah, I joke with I got a friend who his dad owned it, and we're good buddies now.
Okay.
Yeah. So he gave me a shot to work in the lumber yard.
Gotcha.
And I was up front with my record and everything.
Right.
So he's like, yeah, that'd be great. See if you can help out in the lumber yard. What I didn't know, is funny story, is like So from California to Oregon,
Okay.
and then to Montana. So the climate's a little different, right?
Yeah.
I got out in December.
Right.
I started my lumber yard job in December, and I was outside in Montana in January.
So let's kind of clarify that for the audience, right? So all this was happening in California, right?
No, so I was born and raised in California, and then I moved to Oregon.
Oregon.
Yeah, and then, but remember, I got 15 years of exposure here.
Right.
So California, Oregon,
Okay.
yeah, and then prison, and then to Montana.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
came to Montana right after the second release,
Yeah,
right?
exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was in 2000 that I came.
In 2000. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you believe without God, anyone can come out of prison with that kind of reformation that you were able to come out of?
I think your key word there is reformation. Right?
Reformation.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
do you think
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
any
there's- yeah,
other
yeah. So I
form
think-
of reformation beside?
Well, given the fact that I think that we were originally designed to be in a relationship with God,
Okay.
can a person be healthy without God?
Correct.
I think a person can, I think they can function through life without hurting people, without God. Absolutely. I think you can be an individual with self-discipline and with courage and with humility.
Right.
Wait a minute, those are all gifts from God. But I think you can be. I think you can learn to develop that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
but
I
if
don't,
you- if
but
you
I don't think you. I think people are going to be. I think some people can be successful, just in life in general, without being redeemed by their God. I totally believe that.
Do you think it's easier to have that roadmap that the Bible gives you? Or do you think there's
Yeah.
other resources
I think
besides?
I think it's tough.
Okay.
I think it's very difficult. I think it's I think the easy part comes when you actually allow God to change your heart. But how does he change hearts? I mean, we'll go back to the workout scenario. You ain't strong because you don't work out, right? You're strong because you work out.
You make it a lifestyle. You repeat it.
Is it painful?
Yes.
Yes. Right. So you have to tear down in order to build up. Right. So what you build up in will determine your future. Right. So if you take your heartache and your pain and you say, I just want to be a good individual,
Right.
and live by some moral code, you just have to find the moral code to live by. And I think it's possible. I do think it's a difficult road. Number one, most of the people that we're dealing with have shattered relationships. We've created them. They were created for us, all the scenarios. So to open the scriptures and understand a relationship that was ultimately designed to be healthy, we've destroyed that also. So now we have to relearn how to be in a relationship with a God that created us. So that in and of itself is difficult. And then try to understand, well, now what am I actually created for? How do I function within this relationship? So the explanations are in there. Everything is within scriptures that you can understand. God just needs to enlighten you, right? So by reading, he enlightens, he gives, and now you can make some new decisions.
I'm going to throw you a curveball here. So what do you tell someone who's in prison and that doesn't, one, believe in God, two, believes in God but believes in different religion on the pathway to transformation?
That's a good question. That is a curveball. Yeah. Well, what do I tell them? I tell them good luck. No, I don't have the right answer.
Yeah, I'm just kind
exactly.
of putting
Yeah.
you in a situation here. There's some people that just, anytime you bring the word of God, they it's kind of like a wall, right?
Absolutely.
Like they want nothing to hear about it.
That's right. Yeah, so we've had some of those interactions. We're like, listen, I don't believe in God. I'm not against God. I don't know, I don't want to follow the rules and regulations and be part of the church. There's reasons why people will say, oh, Christianity is not for me. Again, let's just talk about it. Why is it not for you? What is it that's so distasteful about it? Is it X? Is it Y? We can pretty much peel back the onion on that. Right. For why they understand what they don't want to do with that. I have friends who are not in the faith. We have people who are not in the faith. It is something that we lean into heavily because we know it's life-changing. We, as me and my volunteers, we understand that it's life-changing, that you get rewired. Like we pulled the old wiring out of you and we put the new wire in. That's what God does. So I would never discourage someone from getting healthy, even though they don't believe in God. At the end of the day, I think God's got most of his stuff under control. I think we could agree on that, right? Like, who's coming to God? He's got that all figured out. He understands who's going to say, I submit, right? Yeah. He also understands who's not. He knows, right? So can we help a guy not hurt somebody?
Right.
Can we do that? Absolutely. So at the end of the day, Philip, if I can get some wires to touch for someone not to hurt somebody, to stop hurting people, is that worth it? Absolutely, that's worth it.
Willie, if someone gets to know you, it's going to be very shocking for them to know your background. Anyone that really knows you and have interacted with you, you are a blessing of God to anyone that interacts with you.
That's real nice of you, Philip.
No, I mean that. For someone with the likeness of you, being able to go through all these processes and then decide that, hey, I'm going to go back and help these people that are in this situation. What is the passion behind what you're trying to do?
I think it goes back to the people who surrounded me, right? I think there were several people during my time down who said, we believe in you. Maybe not, we don't even believe in you. We believe in the transformative power of God. Maybe that's all they believed in and didn't believe in me. They sure made me feel like they believed in me, though.
Yeah.
Right? So when we walk into prison and sit at a table with 10 guys, I want all of those guys to understand I believe in them. I believe in the transformative power of God. So I just am simply doing what I've seen. I'm not inventing anything. My why is if there's a handful of guys who can say, man, there was this guy one time that came into this prison and gave us a new way to live. And now here I am shooting a video with Philip 20 years later, telling our story, right? We want them to develop into what we're doing. And they can. That's our why. They're not going to hurt people. They're going to get healthy. Right. They're going to stop their generational damage. Like, they're going to have whole new families, whole new lives. Their children aren't going to be of the criminal class. They're not even going to know what the prison system's like because dad has chosen to stop the cycle, right? It stops here, right? We're going to join a redemptive God who can change my heart. I'm going to get some help with some serious doctors. I'm going to get some help however I can get that. And we're going to move forward. That's why. That's the only reason why.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you run Montana Reentry. Yeah. Okay. You helping men build new lives. If I ask one of them what you've given them, what would they say?
Well, I would hope they would say hope.
Okay.
Yep. Hope.
Okay.
That they don't have to continue. Right? That they don't have to live what they've been shown. They can choose a different path. The ultimate win is that they have a relationship with the God that created them. That's the big win. All right.
Have you been able to, tell when someone is really ready to change in those scenarios?
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. That's tough. That's tough. It's tough. And it's, the old saying, takes one to know one. Yeah. So I like to think that my experience has lended me some wisdom in that. It's hard sometimes, though, especially for our volunteers who haven't walked that path. If a guy keeps showing up to the gym and keeps working out,
Yep.
You gradually grow muscle.
it's gradually going to happen, right? So that's what we're going for. Just keep showing up.
Okay.
Right? And I think that they will gradually grow muscle. Yep.
So this is going to be the last question, Willie. Okay. If the 15-year-old Willie, the boy with no aspiration, were sitting in front of you today, what would you tell him?
That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one, because do we avoid all the pain? Do we avoid, yeah, what do I tell him?
In that scenario.
Yeah, hang on. Don't give up. There's hope, Yeah. There's hope. There's people that really do care. Okay. There's, yeah. That's what I would tell them. Don't give up. Because I think a lot of times when people give up, they go back to the way that they know to survive. And that's hurting people. That's hurting themselves. That's just it's not what God designed it for. So we need them not to give up. We need them to lean in just a little bit. Do the hard things. Yeah.
All right, Willie.
All right, Philip.
It was great hearing and sharing your story.